Joey and friends here to save the day. Talking about dolls and making our own way. Talking to visionaries, dreamers, and kin. Anyone can play here cause we all fit in. From Darcy to Body, from Dome to Glimmer. We talk about world as the lights go dimmer. Follow us to a playground filled with stories. And let us entertain you with tales of our glories.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joey Dollmaker Versaw, and we are here with Ernesto Padro Campos here in his kitchen. Hi, Ernesto.
Hello there.
How are you doing today?
Oh, it hasn't stopped raining, so I'm ready for some happy hour. We're
Yes,
we're conversing, we're going to have a chat, so what a better excuse to mix a drink.
I love that idea.
You like that? Well, I think you're gonna like it even more because this drink is inspired by your beautiful Miss Mary doll. Here we have
Oh, I love
one of
that.
my beauties, yeah, from my collection, and let's mix a cocktail in her honor.
Let's do
So,
it.
as you can see, I have a lot of bourbon here. We're a bourbon family, but Miss Mary gets out of the norm. So we're gonna do a little gin. It's my other favorite poison, but gin, it is a poison, and it can be dangerous. Um, I don't know how dangerous Miss Mary is, but for collectors, I imagine that there's that element of danger there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So what we're
And
doing is that
alchemy.
we're going to put the gin and we're going to let it blossom a little bit with a nice ice cube. And we're going to just put a drop, just a drop of Campari. Okay? We don't want to dilute the power of the gin too much. Just like Miss Mary is not a diluted character, all right? But we want to
Yeah,
add a touch of color. There we go. And
that's
everything by
beautiful.
eye, I think, always tastes better. So let's mix this babe here. Before I knew anything about drinking, I remember going once to it was a training in, oh my God, it was in Philadelphia. That's when I started teaching. And the school in which I worked in Puerto Rico sent me to this thing. And I mean, there's this culture of like, having a drink at the end of the day. And I remember I wasn't a drinker then. I started to drink probably at the age of 20 something. Um, But I remember going over there and they had an open bar and I said, what am I going to drink? And they had Campari and they had gin and I mixed the two of them together. And I decided to call it gasoline because of the color. Um, and little did I know that if you add some vermouth, you can turn that into a Negroni, which is a very nice drink. This is, again, something completely new and different because we added very little Campari to the mix. What I've done now is I cut a cranberry in half. These are organic, by the way. And we're going to put them at the bottom of our glass.
Oh,
And now
that's
that that gin
beautiful.
has had an opportunity to get nice and cold,
Look at that. Beautiful.
and here we go.
Oh, to Mary. And to you,
Cheers.
Ernesto. Cheers.
This is poison. This is gonna get me. Mhm. Salud.
Salute.
Yeah. Miss Mary. A while back, I remember when this is still when I lived in San Francisco. I did an entry for DOLLDOM, um, and it was all around the cocktail hour. I think it was because of a challenge by Mark G. Harris. I don't know if you know who Mark is.
I
I think
do, yeah.
you know who he is, right? He used
Yeah.
to do Mod DM and exquisite hand beaded hand-sewn stuff. And I remember that he said, I would like to see if you can photograph other things. And I said, let's try it. So I did a cocktail hour thing. And at that point, I mean, I named most of the drinks after people with whom I was collaborating. Clearly him, there was the Muddy M, there was one for Liz Retros and the like. So anyway, this is a continuation on that.
I love that. I'm so honored that Mary gets a drink.
A drink a day keeps the doctor away.
I know. I wish I had your drink in my hand.
Should have passed it through you. Um,
Yeah.
so so Joey, you want to move over to where I have like dollies?
Yeah, let's get to the dolls. I love that.
Okay.
So, Ernesto, what brought you into this world of doll?
Um, I think one day I was at a party downtown, and all of a sudden it got stale for me, so I left. This is in downtown San Francisco, and I took the bus to head home. And there used to be on Geary Street, there used to be a Toys R Us. And, you know, why not, right? You leave a party and you're going home, and I said, I'm just going to stop at the Toys R Us and check it out. And I ended up getting a Pocahontas and a Fashion Avenue. And that's how the craziness started. I went home
Wow.
and I put on a I put on a CD by the German singer Ute Lemper, and yeah, and I dressed Pocahontas in a beautiful Fashion Avenue gown. It had a
I
pink
miss
bow.
Fashion Avenue.
Yeah, Fashion Avenue was great.
Was
It was
beautiful. I mean, I remember, for $5 you could buy a
Yep.
fabulous outfit and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It started, and then slowly, because you get a Barbie and blah blah blah, and you start to, I also went down to Opera Plaza on Van Ness. There used to be a bookstore there, and that's where I discovered Barbie Bazaar and the photography of A. Glenn Mandeville, and of course the icon himself, Barry Sturgill.
Barry Sturgill.
And I went like, what's this? What's this? Like Jack
Yeah.
Skellington. What's this? I'm going like, is this for real? And I discovered that there was a world of vintage Barbie. And I recall vintage Barbie from when I was growing up. So it was like, oh wow, this is so cool. So I
Which
started to I started to look around, and I went like, is there an actual place where you can get vintage dolls that remind me of my childhood? And I started to do the legwork, and back in the day, Joey, I'm talking 97, 97.
Yeah.
There were doll shows. Rudy Teruel of R&D Dolls. He used to have a store called In the Spotlight in the Avenues. So I could go walking. Wow. Yeah, I could go walk into his store um, and check out the stuff. And that's where I got my first American Girl.
Wow.
Brunette. It was a
That's
brunette
so
American
amazing.
Girl.
I
Yeah, and I
didn't even know
remember.
that Rudy had a shop at one point.
Oh yeah, he did. He did over in was it Cabrillo? I mean, I'm 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 gonna sound like, yeah, like that the old person I am, but those, in my opinion, are the good old days
They
when
are.
you could, you know, walk to a doll store. And I remember that's the first time I saw a jean. Rudy had it, and many, many other wonders. I mean, it was a great place. But
Yeah.
Rudy, he left San Francisco, but I'm still in contact with him and enjoying his, of course, Susie and now Defa Lucy. I don't know if
Defalusi.
it's
Yeah.
Defa or Difa, which I know you like because I saw your fantastic
I,
um, redressing of that beautiful ponytail in vintage
yes. I love her. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it either. I always call her Defa Lucy because
Diva.
I thought it was maybe misspelling originally or of diva. So
Yeah,
and I'm not sure. I know that Defa Lucy has been making dolls for a very long time previous to the collector doll. They
correct,
were
correct.
making a lot of
Yeah,
clone type of Barbie type, and when they did the collector version, that just changed everything. I mean, she
absolutely.
really has that's been such a lull of interest for me personally. There's a lot I love. I do love a few integrity things here and there and whatnot, but there hasn't been anything really uh, quality and groundbreaking to me or anything. And so when she came along, I was just like, wow, I love how she
Mhm,
photographs. I love how
mhm,
you photographed her.
mhm.
And then when the ponytails came around, I was like, oh yeah, I'm sold. I have to have one
Yeah,
or
yeah,
two or three.
yeah.
But what was so when you talk about, this experience of going into Toys R Us in your back in your childhood, do you have any memory or experience of wanting a doll or playing with the doll or seeing Barbie and having a fascination for
Um,
her?
as a kid, I grew up in Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, and in the 60s, it was very clear, gender roles were very clear. And my story is not unique. That's unique in a lot of places, but still,
Yeah.
I was fascinated by anything that was a toy. Um, and I could spend hours looking at the Disneykins, those little ones that came in the car. It was like a cardboard box and it had a backdrop.
I remember.
These were little plastic little figurines that were painted very badly. But for me, it was an invitation to go into that world. I wasn't an outward, and I'm not. I was always an inward um, person. So for me, toys represented an opportunity to go into a world and to explore that world and be creative with that world. Um, I wasn't particularly wanting to play with my sister's Barbies, but visually the color, the concept attracted me greatly. And I was surrounded by dolls. My grandmother, from my mother's side, Doña Belén, she collected dolls. I mean, she collected Barbie. Here we are talking about
Yeah.
like what we do these days, right? And there she was doing it back in this is in the late 60s and in the early 70s. And she would sit at the table and she would go like this. It's what's the name of that Barbie that has the plastic disc? And you would put them like that and they would dance. So I recall seeing my
Live
grandmother
action. Yeah.
live action and put the live action. So I was surrounded by it. She once went to Spain and brought back lots of baby dolls, and of course they all went to my cousins. But I would go to their house and I would see them and I would say like, oh, it's an entity. It's a representation of us. What can we do with that? I was given Porky Pig. This is by Mattel. It was the one where you pull the string
I
and
was just gonna ask if it was the pull string one. Yeah.
it was. And he went, and did his thing, the what's up, Fox? And um, it was great, and that was a childhood friend. I got a Mortimer's Nerd ventriloquist doll, um, made of vinyl. This is in the maybe late 60s, and I was captivated by that. The mouth moved, so it was great.
I see him in a lot of your images. I know that's something that you really resonated with.
Correct. So the ventriloquist doll, I mean, and the place where that doll was got, and it was like, I still have the memory of the place, even the way that the place smelled. They must have had like cedar everywhere because it smelled like cedar, the place. And it was a beautiful toy store called La Feria de los Juguetes, I think was the name of it. It was in La Parada 22 in Santurce in Puerto Rico. And I remember it was my parents got it for Christmas, but they let me carry the doll home. So I remember pulling him out of the box, and in the car I was holding him and putting his head through
The
the
window.
through the window, and people would stop and like look at the doll and go like this. So I guess that's where it started. It's this idea of animating,
Yeah.
of engaging in the potential for I don't even know how to say it, but these things are inanimate, but they're not to me.
Right.
And they were not to me when I was growing up. I got
Right.
Matt Mason, I got of course, I got Big Jim.
Oh, yes. Oh.
That hunk. Yeah.
That's a
With those
hunky.
huge
Uh-huh.
I got
Those
a
were
Big
really
Jim.
beautiful too. I mean, they are beautiful dolls.
They are beautiful
Action
dolls.
figures.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And also G.I. Joes, of course. And I was allowed to have Ken. So I did have some of the original flocked hair Kens. And so yeah. So it's not like I was devoid of dolls, but
Yeah.
yeah. I grew up and and I moved out here to California. I grew up, I ended up coming here for work and it was at that point around 90 something that out of the blue, Toys R Us, Fashion Avenue, and then the
Pocahontas.
rest is history. Correct.
Yeah.
And it was right at that point, Joey, where I would call it the renaissance of fashion dolls occurred,
Yes.
which was at the turn of the century. That makes us very old when we talk about the turn of the century. But it was at the turn of the century when we had, mm, probably because of Gene, and shouldn't say probably, it was because of Mel Odom's Gene that this whole thing exploded. The economy was right. Um, Manufacture in China was exquisite and possible. So we had that amazing moment.
And I'm so glad that I got to experience that because I did firsthand, and it was nothing today compares to what it was like. I mean,
Absolutely.
even to be able to go into a mall
Yep.
and go into a shop and to see
Yep.
Mel Odom's Jean dolls in the
Yep.
mall in a shop, it was so incredible.
Uh-huh. It was definitely, and I mean, it was crazy. So they used to also celebrate IDEX West near San Francisco. So I was very lucky to go, and that's where I met Mel and Robert Tonner and the deal. But it was a beautiful moment, and I have never said no to a doll. I mean, I have said no to dolls, but usually I'm very easy. I'm captivated by the potential again. But yeah, Gene appeared and I started to get Gene. Yeah, and Gene was, I mean, it was a magical possibility because he or she was bringing back the golden age of Hollywood, that mythical time.
Yeah.
And amazing fashions, beautifully accessorized, and I mean, it was great. Then Robert Tonner came out with Tyler, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a beautiful time. But going back to to what you said about being able to go to a mall, I remember getting on the number 1 California to go downtown to go to Jeffrey's. Jeffrey's was a toy store, manga store, off Market Street or on Market Street, actually. And I remember going there to buy my first Silkstone Barbie fashion model,
Oh,
the blonde one. They had them in
yes.
boxes, and I was like, oh. So I remember going down there and getting my doll and coming back home on the number 1 with my number 1 blonde
Oh, I love that. I
Silkstone
I
Barbie.
remember still the cover of, was it Barbie Bazaar or Miller's? I think it was Barbie Bazaar. The cover, and it had the blonde and brunette number 1 ponytail or not model muse, Silkstone dolls.
Yep.
And I had to have them, and I ordered both of them. I got the blonde and brunette, and then really soon after, she might have been the third one introduced, was the Delphine. She was in that gorgeous, like, ice
Beautiful.
blue gown with the flower, and yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah, yeah, they were.
Yeah, they were.
Emphasis on emphasis on the use of the preterite. They
Yes,
were.
they were.
No, they were amazing dolls. And that photo, actually, that's when Christopher Verrast was working at Barbie Bazaar, and he was doing amazing photography, for the magazine. So anyway, I started to dabble in all of these different dolls, and I was photographing them with my camera, but I had no intention of ever doing anything until, of course, I was already buying Barbie Bazaar regularly. And there was something online that Karen Cavial published about looking for input, right? And I went like, I had already tried. Probably about 2 years before, I had contacted Miller's Magazine with the idea of doing an article um, where Vintage and Barbie, the BMR, I don't know if you remember the original BMR line.
Yes, yes.
There was a Barbie, a redhead Barbie with a pink suit, and then they had separate fashions. And the idea was, let's combine this with vintage elements. Let's mix and match, and let's
Yeah.
produce a look that basically is uniting the present with the past. And that idea was approved, and the editors told me to send the clothing and blah 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 to Barry Sturgill, which I immediately did. And Barry took photos, beautiful. He sent me a little box with slides. We're talking, this is back in the day when digicams were not a thing,
Right.
and Barry sent me the slides, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, wow. And lo and behold, as the article was going to go to print, Miller's had to close because, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was an issue with Mattel and Miller's at that time.
That's sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the article never saw the light. So when I saw Karen's deal, I went like, okay, I have to jump at this opportunity. I have the idea already. By that point, the Silkstones were a thing, and there was vintage and Silkstones. So I decided to put it together, and I took some test photos, which I showed to a colleague of mine. She's the photo teacher, the wonderful Gail Jesse. And she looked at them and she said, Ernesto, this doesn't say to me, Ernesto, one bit. And I went like, okay. So I went back home and I said, what does that mean? Let me break that down. So I decided to take photos again, and I took them back to Gail, and Gail said, this is Ernesto. And that's how the whole thing started. I photographed the article, I wrote it, and I sent it to Karen, and Karen approved it for publication. And that's how I started um, contributing to Barbie Bazaar.
Wow, that's
And in the beginning,
amazing.
it was all vintage and Silkstone, and then she came up with a hot doll, haute doll. Um, and I pushed myself in there with a tiny Kitty Collier article, and it just progressed. It just went from there. And it was I mean, I had complete freedom to produce um, some pretty nice stuff and to start to do collaborations with doll artists. I mean, I've been really, really fortunate to have had those experiences, to, collaborate with Josh Hurd. And so many of the names just escape me right now, Joey, but beautiful work. Um, we did a wonderful article on Midvani, which created a little bit of, um,
Controversy.
well, it wasn't well received by the maker of the doll. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, but it was still a fun article to do. And later on, when Hot Doll had been gotten by Doll Reader, I did produce another one on the porcelain version of Midvani and her friends. That was yeah, I mean it was just a wonderful time being able, and I saw your interview with Barry, which was just phenomenal. But being able to have a magazine, to be able to send things in and to see them reproduced
Yes. I
was
mean,
itself.
I have
Yeah.
my article on my first love
Yeah, yeah.
boys here. I have the article on Babette
My God,
here
on
in
Babette.
Fashion Doll
Yes.
Quarterly. That
Yeah.
was a collaboration
Yeah.
between you, I, and Branny Mladinov.
And Brani. Yep.
And then I have the very first Mary Magpie 3D Bombshell article
Correct.
here in
Correct.
Dolls Magazine, and the cut short article, not even article that happened for my collection here. That was a whole fun debacle within itself in Hot Doll.
Ah, but
But
I mean, the fact that you could have a magazine that you could hold on, and sit down and read. I mean, the internet is great and you have easy access and you can connect with people, la, la, la. But I think when you just want to sit down and have a drink and just listen to your music and, just look at photos on a piece of paper, I think there's something about that that's kind of great.
there's a magic to it, and I still do it. I pull out my old magazines and I sit on the bed and, go through them,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
love it.
Happened at that time. I was able to connect with Christina Godou of Reverie Publishing, and I think they were outside of New York, and they were doing projects with Robert Tonner. Like they would buy a doll from Robert, a Tyler, or a Sydney, and they would produce a magazine. It was supposed to be in the style of like a fashion magazine, but
Oh,
with
Sydney.
dolls. Yes, with
Sydney had
dolls.
my heart. I was so in love with Sydney. I had the first brunette ponytail with the glasses, and then the black and white ball when she came in blonde. I was like, oh, I need her too. And then it just was
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, so being able to collaborate with Christina was another amazing opportunity, and just sending material. It was similar to what I was doing to Hot Doll, but with Tyler and Esme and all of those gorgeous dolls that belong to the Tyler line. I also collaborated with the man himself, Tom Courtney, when he was producing the Tyler 10th anniversary book. I was very fortunate to be invited to collaborate in that edition. And prior to that, for the fifth anniversary of Tyler, Christina also invited me to collaborate there. And I remember also photographing Tyler dolls dressed in fashions that Tommy Tom Courtney had designed for the dolls. Um,
How
and again, I
exciting.
mean, it was, yeah. I
That's
mean,
amazing.
let's talk about dolls with power, and Sydney is one of those dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The design just flawless. Tonner just hit it out of the park with Sydney. Yeah.
correct, correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct. Tyler, I mean, Tyler is an amazing doll too. And I felt really in love with her with the promotion photos. The doll really had a different face paint. It was much more in the style of the first American models. She
Yes.
had that toner thing going on. She was
Yes.
almost stern. And the original signature style Tylers are very soft, very young, beautiful dolls. Basically, it's an invitation for light to dance on the sculpt. But they did not have that attitude. And Sydney did have it from
Mm.
day one. Important also that by the time that Sydney came out, her face paint had already been designed by Sherry Miller. Was this her name? Yes, Sherry Miller. Toner had already engaged Sherry in designing the dolls' faces. So Sydney never came out with like, you can see the original Sydney painted by Robert in the original catalogs, and she looks very different. But by the time the doll was produced, she was produced with the face paint that Sherry Miller had produced for her. And I actually have one that I was able to get on eBay. And this is
Wow.
it's a beautiful, it's the first Sydney. Here we have Miss
Oh
Sydney.
yes, I love her so much. I have her
But I don't
too.
know if you can see that her face paint is different from,
Different.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I got her on eBay for a very good price. And
Wow.
you can see that she varies. She's a much more it's more of a glam bang.
She's more glam,
Yeah,
yes.
I think I preferred the original Sydney face. But it's still a beautiful doll.
Yeah, she's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, and I mean, look at that suit.
Just
Look at
gorgeous.
that suit.
I know. It's amazing. I love
Uh,
that doll.
and those glasses, I mean, yeah, here I am. I wear glasses. Yeah. I
Yes.
have up I have eye issues.
And it's so interesting that she's such a departure, even though she was the first one. She's such a departure from where she went from there. You know,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct. Yeah. Just like, you wonder which sculpts are the ones that become the real cash cows for companies. Like
yeah.
I think Poppy Parker is that sculpt for integrity.
Oh, definitely,
I think
definitely.
Sydney was for the toner line.
I mean, I remember when Sydney went crazy in Japan and Japanese doll publications like Dolly Bird were
Yep,
had Sydney
on the
front and
cover.
center
Yep,
patterns and they were just going nuts for her
yep,
and she
yep,
just really took over.
yep.
Yeah.
The Great Sydney Chase.
The
Yep.
great Sydney Chase.
Great Sydney.
Here, here's to Sydney.
Here's to
To Sydney.
So anyway, I mean, we've been through it, Joey, in terms of seeing how this Renaissance has led to what we have today. Um, when I started the blog, and I started the blog in 2000 and I think it, yeah, yeah, okay. I remember coining the phrase, the future of dolls is handmade.
Yeah.
That was my idea back at that point because, I started profiling, whatever I had. And my idea was that I was going to do a blog that used dolls to replicate lifestyle blogs for people. So I remember in the beginning, I would photograph a Midvani and a Drake and a Mew Bix, and they were going to Le Marché aux Puces in whatever it was in Paris, right? And I would post the hours for the Marché aux Puces, that type of thing. And I would do like, yeah, it was more like, let's use dolls to basically make fun of lifestyle blogs at that time. Um, and it started to transform into more than anything, let's just profile the work of artists, just like I had been doing when there were magazines,
Yeah.
because the blog became the substitute for the magazine. And here I have dolls, I have ideas, where shall we put them? And the blog was that place.
And it's such a
Allowed me to
class
create.
act. I mean, Dolldom is such a class act. Your photographs are so rich and so beautiful. I mean, even Barry was when I was interviewing with Barry, even Barry was talking about just how dynamic and beautiful your photos are, your colors, the way that you capture the light. But everything is so rich is the best word I can think of. It's just delicious. You want to, it's like a box of candies in a red velvet, you just want to, they're beautiful.
That's an honor to hear that, and thank you very much for it. I mean, I basically I'm inspired by Barry's work. Um, and I don't consider myself to be as skilled as he is. I don't consider myself a photographer either. I just create images with a camera. When I started, I was also using slide film, so there was a big learning curve back then. I used to use Velvia 50, which produced really saturated colors. It was beautiful work. And one thing about my work is that I use natural light. There is no artificial light ever in any photo that I have ever taken.
Wow.
So that in itself has been a creative endeavor to figure out how using natural light one can replicate the effects that you would get from a sophisticated um, lighting system. Yeah, it's very punk, you know? All you need is a window and some aluminum foil and an attitude and desire to
And you
create
had
an image that's beautiful. For me, it is really integral that the doll never be bombarded with light.
yeah.
Um, I want the doll to exist in chiaroscuro, which is the Italian term for light and shadow, right? So for me, there has to be an area that is clearly shown, and then there's the other one has to be somewhat hidden to provide what I think is more of a to give it a little bit more dimension.
Yes.
When we photograph dolls with light, they can take it because they're beautifully painted, but it kind of flattens the effect.
Yeah.
And maybe I am inspired by vintage movies and all of that, which is what you consume back in the 60s on television. But you know that look. So, for example, when we look at your Mary, the photos I did of the last Mary exclusive that you're preparing, um, that doll was like amazing to photograph. Though the lighter resin,
Um,
Bird and Siren is made of the lighter resin.
yeah.
That resin, it's magical because it has such an incredible capacity for projecting light um, without losing definition. It's a really beautiful. And I mean, it was very easy to work almost, almost in the dark, supplement whatever available light was from different angles and be able to take photos of those dolls. They just glow. They glow. And I mean, it's a work. I mean, it's work. It's a labor of love. It's I never have a s- I never go to take a photo saying, "Oh, this is gonna be easy." It is laborious work. Taking the photo takes no time. It is the setting up. It is
Yes.
the calibration of light, because sometimes I like to see like in an arm that there's like a little line of light here. So I geek out. So I get up 100 times, I fix things, and then the photo is
And your
taken.
sets are so elaborate. I mean, trying to get all of those little tiny details and
Yeah.
all those little accessories and pillows on the chair or couch and
Yeah.
trying to get that, and then to try to have the dolls live in movement like you can capture, where even dolls that have very limited articulation, you bring them to life. You know how to pose them so it looks like they're gliding through the room. They're not just standing still, like, and it's so
Correct.
incredible and beautiful.
Correct. And they drink a lot too, my dolls. They
Yeah.
love to have cocktails
They
too.
do. I mean,
Many
who
of
doesn't?
them. Yeah. I was very lucky back in the day to connect with Anne Morrison. She used to do amazing furniture for dolls. She used to have a website, then she moved to Etsy, and I don't know where Anne is right now. But her work, mid-century, incredible furniture, and to this day, I mean, I treasure that stuff because you put the sofa out, you put that little bar card out, and you have a set.
Yeah.
Also with Liz Cole and her husband, Darren, they also made amazing furniture, bars, um, tables, lamps. So again, it was at that time Currently, we have, I think the name is Atomic Doll, I think, and she sells on Etsy, and her work is also very good. So there are still options for acquiring furniture to create that type of room. I don't photograph outdoors very often. I think I've only done it once, and it's not my preferred mode. Again, one has one's limitations. So for me, it's that, yeah. And again, it's that feeling like you're entering a room, right? And it's not lit everywhere. There's
Yeah.
some areas where there's darkness, and that darkness invites us to discover something. Um,
It creates a story. It does.
well, yeah, yeah. I think that's part of the part of the beauty of dolls, how dolls can take us into that space of exploration. I am not a collector of dolls because I am into fashion. I collect fashion and I do mix and match because it's the nature of a fashion doll.
Yeah.
But lately, as I become older, for me, it's more about the story. It's more about what's happening in that eternal instant there. Um, so that's what I want to explore more. How this inanimate entity that we have in front of us can actually come to life, and tell
And you
us
do
wonderful
that.
things. Yeah.
And you do that. You really do bring them to life. So as an adult, since you didn't really have a lot of experience with dolls as a child, as an adult, what would you say that one magical doll was that you were just enamored by and kind of had a little obsession with?
I started with Barbie.
Yeah,
Because of Barry Lazar. But I quickly transitioned into toner dolls, and I was very liberal with acquiring different types of dolls. Um,
I love
so
that about you because it's very exploratory with art dolls and factory dolls.
Liz Cole used to have this term that we use, and you may edit it if you think that this is incorrect. It may be politically incorrect, but she used to call people like me and her doll slots.
I love
Because we do
that.
not have we
We
go
can't
with
say no.
whatever as long as they appeal to us. So yeah, yeah. And it piles up, and you end up having a pretty eclectic collection, which I find interesting because all dolls have something to say. Um, but I understand, collectors, we all do things differently. And there are collectors who are into one specific type of doll. Maybe it's the 1/6 scale, maybe it's Barbie, maybe it's integrity. Some people are into BJDs in the 1/4 scale or even bigger. But for me, anything goes. Anything goes. I like vintage dolls. I like what will soon become antique dolls. I mean, Patsiette, it's like a trip of a
Yeah,
doll to have. So I have a ventriloquist dolls going back, to bring back my memories of Mortimer Snurd. So I really am not a very focused collector. I go all over the place.
yeah. I do too.
But
I call
yeah,
myself a
and I mean,
Victorian because I'm eclectic.
correct, correct. And I mean, I think going back to what we were discussing before, things that are handmade, right? I think that's where I am heading right now. Things that
Yeah,
are handmade or where the manufacturing process takes takes time. Focuses more on the quality of the actual doll.
yeah,
Um, Mass market, it's fine, and I have plenty of Barbie, that is like mass market. But at the current time where I am slowing down on the collecting, I think anything that is handmade or hand finished, you know what I'm saying, or
Yeah.
produced in smaller quantities is more appealing to me.
Yes.
Um, Hence your work,
Oh,
so important. We've been collaborating
a
for a
very
long,
long time.
yeah, we've been
Yeah,
collaborating for a
and
long time.
Julian's work and Nav's work and
Correct?
uh,
Correct.
I just think it's I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere without you. I don't know
Ah, you would, you would.
I don't know what you saw in me in the beginning, and I remember, I was making these dolls out of this Fortin, and they were almost ceramic-y, and I was doing a soft body, and it was the head
Yes.
and arms and legs,
Yep.
and I remember you said, you need to push this idea and you need to make them fashion dolls.
Yeah.
Because I was more going towards the boudoir idea.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
thinking boudoir dolls because I was so fascinated by boudoir dolls of the 20s. And so you gave me that push to really extend myself from where I was starting to go the full mile and do the full fashion
And
doll.
you did it, and you did it.
I
And
did do
I
it.
have my very first Mary with her short bowl
Yes.
cut,
Yes.
her amazing face paint, and her very pale. What resin was that you were using?
That was a Fortin. It was called Fortin. It was a mixture. It was a gypsum resin mix that I was using, and very hard, but also fragile, you know.
Very hard. I mean, sturdy dolls, yeah.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and pretty fantastic. And look at where you are right now.
It's
Look at where you're
wild.
at now.
And to be able to have evolution of my work through your eyes is so incredible because I can go back and I can look at those original dolls, and see throughout the growth, and not only the growth, but the different mediums, being the first person to be there for 3D printing my dolls. When 3D printing was early, it was a very different material that I was using. Whereas now I'm able to have it's resin and it's like
Right.
plastic, It's so different than what I started out with. And it's so cool to be able to see it through your eyes. It's beautiful. And I think that you are one of the, I mean, you're definitely a punk, but I think that you are definitely one of the people that really set art dolls, indie dolls, where they are now. I mean, nobody was photographing indie dolls. No one was, I mean, you really are the one that kind of projected that into everyone else's lives. People that were just collecting Barbie were able to go to DOLLDOM and to see your blog or to read your articles in the magazines and to be like, what is this other doll that's not Barbie? That's more artsy? That's more, what is this? And you really opened the door for so many people promoting their work through your beautiful photography, and it really is. Um, we wouldn't be here. A lot of the indie artists that are doing this.
Now,
I
I
mean,
think you would be here because, again, I think people want uniqueness.
yeah,
People want something that is special. And low manufacturing numbers take care of that. I mean, um, if you're an integrity collector, you're guaranteed that your doll is not like overly produced. You're very lucky to be able to belong to that club and to be able to purchase your dolls, etc. But I think there's even more of a desire to own things that are not necessarily that are made by hand, that have a hand finishing there. And that's where you come in. That's where Julian comes in. That's where Anna Ergorova, I think of Solar Wind Dolls, comes in. creating dolls that are handmade. Mind you, Jamie show all of those dolls are hand painted. So there's this feeling that you are that you can enjoy something that move. You know what I'm saying? That hasn't been just like gone through an assembly line.
Yes.
That has gone through a process that there's more of an investment from the individual who is creating that. Because I think dolls ultimately are the intention. Dolls are defined by the intention behind them.
Yes.
Okay? Most dolls, of course, exist in a capitalist system and they are made so that they can generate income for the company,
Right.
right? That's it. It's very simple, very clear. But when we talk about you, we talk about indie artists, there's another intention there. There's an evocation of the past. There is a desire to convey an idea. Okay. I mean, look at you. You have so many ideas, and because you have the talent and you have the know-how and you have the skill, you can create a doll like that. And
Yeah.
here you have one of Joey's creations. Many
And
of
I
which,
mean, some of my collections were literally born within a week. I mean, just I have this idea hit me, and I'm like on fire, and I'm sculpting, and then it's done, and I'm here. It is, you know.
correct, which is the opposite of what, you know, about what our system calls for. We're
Right.
creating something to make money versus we're creating something to evoke, to bring an idea to life. And that for me is, I mean, that for me is where the future of dolls is going. And more you see people are buying people are buying 3D printers and printing their own dolls. So
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna get to that point too, where everybody will have their own doll, you know, in the future. Um,
I
but
won't be needed anymore.
No, because I said that with a big amount of irony,
Mhm.
because being able to print doesn't mean that you have a clear intention.
Yeah.
Making your own doll is indeed an intention, but that doesn't mean you have the skill or you have the oops, I don't want to say something that may sound incorrectly, but that will produce a doll that is, I mean, it's your doll.
Yeah.
Good. It's your
Yeah.
doll.
Right,
And I'm
right.
talking to that person who just 3D printed their own doll. But I think there's the potential for that, Joey, as we move on with technology. That doesn't mean that, you know, we will be looking for artists, actual artists, to produce beautiful dolls. So anyway, I have a whole bunch of them in the back. Would you like to see
I
them?
would love to see them. Oh, wow.
This is a little skeleton doll made by Katarina Carlson. That's her married name. Beautiful, beautiful artist from Sweden,
Wow.
but she stopped producing dolls. Very lucky also to collaborate with her, and she had her work featured in Doll Reader magazine in the early 2000s. This is a very special doll. It's a little memento mori. I have two. So one is called Memen, and the other one is called Tomori. One of the most beautiful dolls.
Oh no.
Well, this is what I talk about, you know. And again, we're having like front light, which is not what I like.
Va va
But this,
voom.
yeah, Baba Boom. And you know where this dress comes from, right?
Yeah.
Our other girlfriend wore this originally. This is the nurse's
Yes.
latex dress. And this is a doll that you painted, and her face paint is supposed to be like Sophia Loren.
Mhm.
I think
I did
that,
her special just for you. Yes.
oh yeah, and her hair was borrowed
Possibly Meadow.
from Meadow. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was borrowed
Yeah.
from Meadow. Yeah. Um, Here's Stud Puppy himself.
Yes, Miles, look at him.
There's Mr. Miles. He's wearing Ken's skinny jeans and that top that I got on
And
Etsy.
he's filling him out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one of the dolls that I was talking about. This is Alexander by
I
Anna
love that.
Egorova.
So
Um,
beautiful.
it is really beautiful, and in a way, what Anna is doing is that she is breaking away from idealization of beauty, and she's
Yes.
producing characters.
And I respond to
You know,
that so much better. I really like, I mean, beauty is beauty and I enjoy beautiful sculpts, but there's something to say for bringing out the beautiful or the beauty in something that's not traditionally looked at as beautiful.
correct. Which brings us to
Hildy. Hildegard.
here's Hildy, who decided that she needed to borrow Lace's wig
Wig. I love that. She
to
looks
look
so
ultra
good.
glamorous. But look at her. I mean, Hildy, let's talk about presenting a doll. And I think she uses Babette's body, right?
Yes. Well, she certainly broke the mold. She-
Into Petworks
Yes, Petworks 8 and 9.
8 and
Beautiful.
9. And
Yeah.
again, this is a company in Japan, and their production numbers, I have no idea. I don't think they're huge. And it's really interesting because it's one of the few companies that produces dolls and they are sold without clothing so
Mhm.
that you can dress them up. And they're not inexpensive, but the quality, there's time put into the actual rooting of the hair. So you're getting a doll and yeah, it's
And they
usually
do come
clothing.
dressed as well in incredibly beautiful
Correct.
clothing. Yeah.
Correct.
They actually
But
kind of Lucy reminded me a little bit of Sekaguchi because the detail work in the clothing really barkens back to the vintage Barbie clothing as far as the eye for detail. It's so beautifully done. Oh, look
and
at
here
how
we have
gorgeous.
this is Punk
I love
9
it.
in a kimono, but Ayaka doll on Etsy.
That's
She made
beautiful.
this for the body that she uses on her dolls. She makes her dolls by hand, the head, and then she inserts them on a body similar to Petworks.
It's
So this is a
amazing.
beautiful kimono,
Just
and I
beautiful.
think it looks really great with his hair. And here we have Momoko.
Momoko.
Yep. Whoa.
So cool. I love Momoko's face. I really like her profile. I love her big ears.
Yep.
And I feel like she's such a fun, cool character. And, she's kind of unknown, even though she's very popular in Japan. And I mean, she's been around for years and they've made hundreds and hundreds of different variations of her. But I find it so interesting that something that could be so prolific like that could also be kind of obscure in different countries, like even America.
Correct. Yeah. She was very popular in the States when she first came out, but slowly we have seen maybe a departure, by the public in this country into other areas. But
And
I think it's
Victor, look at Victor
here's a
Dreary.
Victor, and this is a Victor with inset eyes. He has glass eyes by Jim
Wow.
Dandy back in the 2000 teens. Jim Dandy was doing this work
On
when he was
Elowen too, I think, like
on
doing lots of,
on
yeah.
Halloween. So I have several of Agnes and Victor. And speaking of Defa Lucy, here we have what I would say it's a pretty unique doll. We're not talking
Oh yes, with the flocked hair.
she has the flocked hair, and I think that she's wearing something really well done. I mean, it's a beautiful, much more modern than anything that I look for, but still, it's pretty incredible.
I think what's so amazing and what really draws me to those dolls is that there's this mixture. It's a modern doll, but she captures that same kind of class and that the vintage Barbie did with her clothing and
Correct.
stuff. Like it has that same appeal, but it is very modern, you know? It's
Correct.
yeah,
Again, I think it's the intention. We have a clear intention here by whoever's making this doll, to produce something that is high quality, that is unique, that they're saying something. We
yeah.
still have to see a doll in a gown.
Well, when I
Um,
saw those dolls, I thought to myself, oh, they have some fabulous queer men working for them that are like just putting it out. That's amazing.
so who are they?
I don't know, but I know that.
Here we have Miss Ivy. This is a Jamie Show produced resin doll by Mel Odom.
So beautiful.
Ivy Jordan was initially produced by Integrity when Integrity was making, and I think it's one of the best characters in the Gene line.
I love
Um,
her. I never was lucky enough to have a Jamie Show Jean. I was around while it was all happening. I was just working really hard and they were a little more expensive for me at the time. And oh yes, beautiful. I love it.
Here's one of my Tallulahs. Yup.
Tallulah, my pulp girl. I love her. Yes.
This is a wig by Thanos. It's a wig by Jatabasa, which I think fits her perfectly. So here's Miss Tallulah. Very beautiful
Beautiful.
sculpt, Joey, and the painting
Thank you.
is just
She's
inspired.
gonna she's gonna be around again soon. Oh,
Of course, my Meadow is wearing the wig
that was
from
yeah for
from
Irma.
Irma. Yep,
Uh-huh, her friend or
yep,
her friend of me.
her friend.
I love it.
And this is your tribute to,
Karaz.
Kiraz, and I think it's a gorgeous,
Thank
really
you.
beautiful creature.
I really
Uh,
love the existing Karaz dolls and the Mamzelle reproduction dolls are so beautiful, but I felt like they were a little more childlike, and I wanted
yes,
because Karaz's illustrations were very adult and for adult magazines, and so I wanted something just a little bit more like his drawings, and so that's where
and I
Meadow
mean
was born
the
from.
fact that you were able to capture that foot.
That foot. I know. It's insane.
No, but I mean, it's pure genius because that's how he draw. He
Yeah.
drew the foot, and I mean, here we are. We're going back to Bill Lilly, who
Yeah.
came with molded shoes. So I mean, it's pure genius. Currently, I'm also very much into Lika, Lika Chan.
Yes. Oh, and there's your Peachy.
Here's the
Oh
peachy
my
girl.
gosh,
Yeah,
she's gorgeous. I still regret so badly getting rid of mine. I was so lucky to get her in the first place, and then I was moving and I got rid of mine, but she's amazing, just beautiful.
and I'm very much into this guy. Um,
Goro.
Wataru,
Oh,
Wataru
that's
Kun.
Wataru. For a second I thought it was the little brother Goro. Yes,
There's a
fabulous.
photo in the back, and yeah,
Is
this
he
is a
the
project.
reproduction or the original?
What?
Is he the original or the
Yeah,
reproduction?
this
Yeah.
is an original vintage Wataru, and the clothing is also original, and that's a project that I have in the works, which is documenting. Doldom already produced an entry on Wataru, but the next one will be documenting several of his outfits, of his
Oh,
original
that's
outfits.
amazing. I love that.
So that's a project in the works. Another project in the works is with this doll. Whoops, and there goes the shoot. Her name is Nancy. She
Nancy.
was produced by Bella in France. It's a very
Is she
hard.
related to Tressie?
Well, she uses the Tressie body because by
Yes.
that point, they had sold the rights to use the Tressie, and they were manufacturing Tressie in France. And I know you have this outfit. I saw it recently on your eBay store, and I went like,
Yes.
oh, I could have gotten it from you. This is pretty exquisite. It's a Shillman um, dress, but anyway, in the works is an entry, an article on Japanese exclusive.
Oh, that Japanese midge is beautiful. Wow. Look at that hair. That's so incredible.
Oh yeah,
Is
I
that an
went to
original
town.
wig to her, or is that
It's the original wig. I put a little
wow?
rubber band in the back to hold the flip.
Did you style it?
Oh yeah.
That's incredible, Ernesto. That looks so beautiful.
Well, thank the OCD. And again, I'm much more on as time passes, getting more into male dolls.
Yeah.
And this is that Jamie Show Muse wearing integrity though. That's like a leather shirt that hasn't decomposed yet.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
hasn't decomposed. Yeah.
I
So anyway, this
love
is
the leather clothing, but I always am so, I try not to purchase it unless it's on a doll that I have to have because I know that in 10 years it's not going to be there anymore.
and you're being generous with time. Anyway,
Yeah,
this is Daniel, which I think it's a resculpting of Jamie Show's Lee, a 1/4
he's beautiful.
JD.
And
Yeah,
he's a resin doll.
yeah. This is a resin. It's an articulated a doll. This is from
Yeah.
the Muses line. The clothing is designed by Owen Su, who used to work.
That's
Go
a nice.
pay,
Okay.
go pay.
Go pay.
Yeah. So anyway, um. And well, let's pay tribute where tribute should be paid. Here is this is a Freundlich doll. It's a
He's
company by the
fantastic.
last name of Freundlich. And basically it's a clone of Charlie McCarthy. But it was made by this company called Freundlich.
I love
And
him.
very lucky to have been able to get him.
He's so is he very similar to the size of what you had?
Oh no, those dolls were bigger.
They were way
You can
bigger,
still
yeah.
you can still get those dolls on eBay, the plastic ones. This is composition. So, I mean,
He's
the guy has
beautiful.
survived pretty well
Wow.
throughout the years. So,
I was wondering if you had repurchased your childhood doll.
I did not. I did not go for that. I went for the opportunity to get this ventriloquist doll and that was pretty much
He's
it,
such a great size too. I like that he's smaller.
Uh, And here we have Alika from the castle. I don't know if you're aware, but Likas are manufactured in China and then some are manufactured in Japan, um, and are sold exclusively at the castle.
She's
And you see a
beautiful.
difference in the
Yeah,
manufacture of these dolls. They're pretty exquisite. The hair is usually cut by hand, and the outfit is by the great endangered Sissy, who
beautiful.
produces magnificent stuff. Um,
So beautiful. I love the Lika Castle girls because, like you said, their quality is just outstanding.
They are pretty outstanding. And yeah, and here we have one that's channeling the look of Peachy. Let's remove
Yes.
that plastic from the head.
I
She's doing
love
her
that tan
Malibu.
skin with the blonde hair.
Yeah,
It's
she's doing
such
her
a,
Malibu thing. Yeah.
yeah, dynamic combo.
At this stage of the game, for me, it's about having things that allow me to tell a story, that will let me research, that will let me fill in the blanks. I'm past that period where I have to post. No, from now on, the stage in which, my life is, it's more about trying to produce information, trying to place a doll within a context in the history of fashion dolls. So that's more where I'm going right now. I haven't posted anything since the year started because I've been working on that Japanese exclusive new Midge and trying to do research, which has it's pretty difficult when you don't speak Japanese. Still
Yeah.
to this day, do not know the name of who sculpted um, that doll, if that doll was sculpted in Japan or if she was sculpted in the United States. I
Right.
recently had a conversation with a well-known, is very well known for her very hard to find vintage uh, dolls. And she said she was going to ask Carol um, if she knew,
Yeah.
but I haven't received
I
anything
wonder if
back.
Barry would know too, doing that Barbie in Japan book, if Barry might
Correct.
know. Yeah.
Interesting that in the Barbie in Japan book, that Midge is referenced only with a photo of a doll that was not in the collection that Barry photographed. So
Yeah.
she is there's one photo and it just says what we've read over and over again.
Right.
So yeah, producing that entry took me more into trying to create a metaphor for what a doll that had a very limited production run means to collectors and how that can be projected into you know, an element of Japanese culture, for
Yeah.
example. So
Yeah.
that's what I try to do. I don't know if if it will be successful, but there's at least 30 something photos of that Midge wearing everything that can be worn, from vintage Barbie to Shillman dresses to retros to you name it, Cindy Marud. She's gonna be wearing it all. And I think it'll be fun. It'll be
Yeah.
great to see. She decided to come live with me. And so I'm going to try to do and put her in a context. And
And
that's
it
what I
would be
find.
fascinating to find the story behind, because I know, like, Jenny, Barbie, when Barbie went over to Japan and they had done a run of superstar Barbies over in Japan, and it was very poorly received. The people in Japan they didn't have a connection to those dolls at all. And so then Mattel, worked with Takara, and they
Correct.
produced a whole new sculpt, body and face, to present Barbie to the Japanese people. And so I'm so curious about Midge, that transformation there in Japan, if there might have been something off-putting to them about Midge's original face or sculpt, and they decided to do this new, it's such an unusual thing.
The conjecture is that sales must have been really dismal when Midge, with her freckles and her big white eyes,
Yes.
she must have had the same effect as midges do, the insect. So I don't think she was at all well received. It pushed
Yeah.
Mattel into redefining this. And this doll, I mean, it's just pretty amazing. But I think that again, she failed to capture what Lika would end up capturing 2 years later. This midge
Right.
was introduced in 65, and we have to wait for 2 years to see a doll, a fashion doll that is really going to resonate with the Japanese, with their sense of aesthetic. And I think, and this is what's going to be in the article, is that this midge is merely referential to shoujo manga. Um, you can see you can see when you look at illustrations from the period from manga, you can see that she is referring to it, the
Yes.
eyes, the way that the nose is shaped, but she's not the love child of manga like Lika is.
Yeah.
Lika was produced based on the manga aesthetic, and boom, to
Yeah.
this day. So again,
That Midge reminds me of the artwork of Rune. who was a Japanese artist and during the 60s, turn of the century.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct, correct.
yeah.
So anyway, that's how I see it happening from now on, documenting, researching, and trying to capture some of that. I mean, there used to be more books. You could go to bookstores and buy books on dolls. That I don't think will be a reality, although we never know, right? I think it would be great to get that book on Barry Sturgill's photography published. So
Yes, absolutely.
that would be a must.
I think one of the things too, one of the magical things for me about dolldom and about what you do is this dance between your words and your photographs. You're able to not only have just a photograph to look at, but with your beautiful words, you really create this world with your photos. So the photos speak for themselves, but with this dance that you have with your words, it really creates a whole new phenomenon within itself.
Yeah. I don't know a phenomenon, but thank you for that. I think it's as important to have, yeah. I mean, I take great pride in producing copy, and it is as important, the writing of that copy, as the photos that will accompany it. Um, yeah. I mean, I think my enjoyment, again, of dolls has always been, the text that accompanied that photo, that idea. So I try very hard at replicating that.
What do you think that your favorite moment looking back on the past, on all the projects you've worked on, the collaborations that you've done? You've photographed a lot of Tonner's dolls, Elowens, throughout this history of doing photography for the magazines and publications. What do you recall as maybe one of your most exciting and fun projects that you worked on?
It would be hard, Joey, to say
You've
that
done
there
so
was
many, I know.
that was more fun because everything was undertaken with great excitement and energy
And love
and
and
for me,
respect. Yeah.
if I did not take one more photo, you know, or if I never again wrote about dolls, for me, what gives me the satisfaction and the sense of achievement is that I've been able to have collaborations with others. That's what makes this possible. I am not a social person, but I have a lot of connections with individuals who also enjoy dolls, who enjoy doll art, and with whom I'm very lucky to be able to collaborate with their clothing, with their dolls, and that for me has been, it's like I'm very grateful for having had that opportunity to do the collaborations. But in
Well,
terms of a
most people are
favorite
very
project,
grateful to you.
no, let's say that, yeah, I mean, everything has been cool. Like when I look at photos from, you showed me the magazines, um, of the work that we did with Babette and the work that we did with the boys, and it's all been fun. I mean, it's an honor in reality.
Well, I'm honored to be able to have your beautiful photography be a part of my legacy.
Well, I mean, and let's talk about your portfolio, which is like, I mean, let's talk about a book, to document your incredible capacity for creation. Um, but ultimately, yeah, I think that if I am instrumental for anything, and, I have a modest following, not that I care about that. For me, what I do for myself. If I write or take a photo, it is ultimately for myself. But whatever I can do to support the indies, that's where I am. Because I think you are the guys with the vision. You are the ones who do not enjoy the platforms, right? So we have to create those platforms and we have to bring those visions to a wider public. So
Were you working at all with the publication for Julian's book?
I did send some photos,
Yeah.
and Yeah, so it's I've worked with Julian too, like with you, a lot. And uh, Dita Varneka, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. He did contact me, and I sent a good amount of photos. I don't know how many were selected to be included, but I sent a good amount of photography. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing how the book turned out. But again, that we have a book, yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
that's I think a step in
Beautiful.
the right direction. Maybe we need to connect Dieter with Barry and then Dieter with you
Yeah.
and get more of those books published because I think it is important to document in that manner.
Yeah.
It's very hard to go on the web now and find information on dolls. I think
Oh,
most
it's a
search engines.
vortex. I mean, I anything, even simple things sometimes I find myself going through an unnecessary rabbit hole and I'm
Yeah,
not actually getting the information that I need.
correct. And it didn't used to be that way. It
Yeah,
used to be much more fruitful. You would go and research dolls and you would find websites from people who had taken the time. Now it's much harder.
it is much harder. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ernesto. I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed being able to talk with you and to
Been a
kind of learn a
pleasure.
little bit about the man behind the camera,
The
behind
camera. Yeah,
Dolldom,
sure.
because I don't, we don't see you. I don't get to see you very often, and so it's really a pleasure to be able to have this moment with you.
Likewise, it's a total honor. So thank you so very much, Joey.